Hey everybody, hopefully you're all doing well today. Welcome back to WireDogSec. Got another video for you guys, but before we get into it, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, comment below thoughts and opinions on the information shared. All that good stuff helps out the channel, helps get the good word out there. Anyway, today we're going to take a look at Blue on TryHackMe. Now this is a beginner room, but there's some pretty good stuff in there that I think you guys would benefit from it, so we're going to take a look at it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, task number one, scan and learn what exploit this machine is vulnerable to. Please note that this machine does not respond to ping ICMP and may take a few minutes to boot up. This room is not meant to be a boot to root CTF. Rather, this is an educational series for complete beginners. Professionals will likely get very little out of this room beyond basic practice, as the process here is meant to be beginner focused. And that's true. I've already gone through this room and looked at everything, but this is not specifically for me. This is more for you guys, especially if you're new here and just new to cybersecurity or the penetration testing type of area. But let's go ahead and scroll down a bit. It's got some notes about the author if you want to go ahead and check that out. A link to ICE, sequel to Blue, some other links there. Okay, answer the questions below. Scan the machine. If you're unsure how to do or tackle this, I recommend checking out the Nmap room. Go ahead and check the Nmap room out. If you are unfamiliar with Nmap, I think it gives a good description and tutorial over Nmap basics and such. How many ports are open? With the port number under 1000, what is the machine vulnerable to? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, I already ran my Nmap scan, as you can see here, because it did take a few minutes to finish all the way, but let's just go through and see what I did. Ran the basic Nmap, of course, command to launch it, -st, which is a TCP scan. It's going to do the three-way handshake, and then -pn, because this machine does not respond to pings, and then the -a for it's going to do everything, version scanning, OS, stuff like that. And --open because I only want to see the open ports, and then -on, which is going to be the normal output, and I'm outputting that file inside of the desktop. And then the file name is blue.nmap. You can name it whatever you want. I don't think you even need an extension here, but I just did that for easy reference and such. A good practice. And of course, the target IP. Now let's go through and take a look at the scan here. Ports that are open, there's 3 of them there. Bam, that's the answer, 3. Okay, now let's go ahead and scroll down. Now, when you do Nmap scans or any type of network scanning and such, you want to go through and view the information that it discovered so that you can uh, use that information to conduct an attack on that machine. So it's got 135 open, 139, 445, which is very interesting. You want to take a look at this one. There's been tons of vulnerabilities in regard to 445, which is probably going to be running SMB. So there's a lot of SMB vulnerabilities out there. And then 3389 is also open. Um, that's odd. That's just 3. Oh, okay, yeah, under 1,000. Anyway, right. um, let's see here. Yeah, 3389. That's going to be RDP usually. So let's go ahead and scroll down. Some other stuff here. The PC's name is John PC, and it gives you some other information about this particular machine here. But let's go ahead and try to see if we can find anything that's really going to strike what we need here. Of course, it's running Windows 7 Professional, as we saw that up above. John PC. Let's see here. SMB2. Yada yada yada. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can find a vulnerability with SMB. Maybe it's missing that patch that came out years ago in regards to a vulnerability out there called EternalBlue, which was very big in the cybersecurity space. If you don't know about it, I recommend going and doing some research on EternalBlue, seeing what you can find out. Okay, now I got all my stuff built out here for Nmap. We're going to scan that 445 port, and we're going to use the smb-vuln-ms17-010 script, and we're going to target that box, see what it does. See if it's vulnerable to this, and it does appear to be vulnerable, as you can see there. It's got some other stuff in here. Critical remote code execution vulnerability exists in Microsoft SMB v1 servers MS17010. So there you go. Now we can possibly exploit that, and I believe that's what we're going to do in the next few tasks here. And if you happen to not know what particular script to use for this vulnerability scanning portion, you can just use this vuln script here. It'll go through, and I believe it uses, I'm not sure if it uses all of Nmap's vuln scripts that it has or what. But anyway, this is an alternative if you don't know that particular vulnerability, or if you just want to scan the box for any type of vulnerability, you can use that, and it pulls up the same information here. So there you go. Now let's continue on to task number 2 here. Before we get into that, just wanted to show you that Nmap file we made from the scanning information here. It's got everything in here, so you don't have to keep going back and forth inside that terminal to get the information. And it's good practice as well if you want to keep track of each target box and such. So let's see here. Task 2, gain access. Exploit the machine and gain a foothold. Start Metasploit. I believe that link takes you to the Metasploit room if you're unfamiliar with the Metasploit. Find the exploitation code we will run against the machine. What is the full path of the code? Show options. Set the one required value. What is the name of this value? All caps for submission. Usually it would be fine to run this exploit as is. However, for the sake of learning, you should do one more thing before exploiting the target. Enter the following command and press enter. Set payload, blah, blah, blah. With that done, run the exploit to confirm the exploit has run correctly. You may have to press enter for the DOS shell to appear. Background the shell, Control plus Z. If this failed, you may have to reboot the target VM. Try running it again for a reboot of the target. All right, so let's go ahead and start Metasploit and start doing some of this stuff here. Okay, in order to start Metasploit, you're going to type in MSF console here, and it's going to load the Metasploit up, everything up and running for it, gives you information about Metasploit, the version, how many exploits, payloads, evasion, etc., stuff like that. And it wants us to look for this particular vulnerability, see what modules Metasploit has available for it. Easy way to do that, you can just type in search and then type in the vulnerability information here. I just typed in ms17 underscore 010 and it pulled up a few modules here that we could use. Now, Metasploit does have its own auxiliary scanner inside of this that can search for this particular vulnerability on systems. I've used this in the real world whenever this vulnerability came out back in 2017. Like I said, this hit news headlines. It was crazy. Anyway, so I used this in the past in the real world to look for machines that had this particular vulnerability and then got the issue remediated. But for this one, we're going to look for the EternalBlue RC, which is going to be number 2 here. Exploit Windows SMB MS17010 EternalBlue. Now we want to go ahead and select that one. Take a look at these descriptions of these different modules available, and we're going to want to use number 2 here, and we're going to shorthand it, use number 2. You can also write it out the long way there, but I shorthanded it, as you can see there. And let's go ahead and scroll down a bit. No payload configured, blah, blah, blah. It's going to default to that right there. And then we want to see the options, show options. And that's going to see, or that's going to show you what you have available to set in here to configure this properly. And the one you want to set here is going to be rhost. I mean, our port's already set to 445 by default. Now, rhost is going to be the target box that you're going to be targeting to exploit. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay, kind of fat fingered it there for a little bit, but let's go ahead and correct that right now. .79. Okay, now let's make sure that it's in there correctly. Show options again. Double check our work here. And there you go. Awesome. Sure, that's all we need to do here. Bam. It wants us to change the payload to that. So we're going to do it the easy way here. Just going to copy and paste it like this. All right. Get that in there. Bam. Okay, now it wants us to go ahead and do it. Now you can click, you can use run, you can use exploit to launch this thing. Go through and it's going to do its thing here. And hopefully it's successful, but it's probably going to be successful. I believe this had a good rating. Let's just scroll up a little bit to show that while it's doing its thing. Okay, let's see here. Let's go up a little bit more. Ah, there we go. Yeah, the rank is normal, so that means it's going to be probably successful. So it's going through, it's still doing its thing. I'm going to cut off here because it's probably going to run for a little bit. For some reason, the exploit didn't work. It was taking forever to run. I tried running it twice. So I had ended up terminating the target machine and then launching it again. And that's why you see a different IP address for it. But anyway, it finished, got me into a command shell, and I did a who am I, see who I am, basically. Okay, and T authority slash system. And it wants us to use this post module here in order to escalate privileges, which is kind of strange because we're already in T authority, but let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to hit Control Z to background this. Background session, yes. All right. And if you want to see your sessions, you can do, let's show sessions. Yep, there we go. Okay, so we're going to use this post module here. It says if you haven't already background the previously gained shell, or yeah, Control plus Z, research online how to convert a shell to interpreter shell and Metasploit was the name of the post module we use. Exact path similar to the exploit we previously selected. So go ahead and do the research if you don't know what it is, and then that's the one we're going to use here. Select this use module underscore path, show options. What option are we required to change? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, another issue here is that it may air out like it did to me here because we're already in T authority in that session as we saw earlier. So I'm assuming that's what happened. And I did sessions again. It says NT authority system. So let's go ahead and try to interact with it. So sessions, dash I for interact, and then it's going to be for, see if it works. And apparently it did. And it wants us to use get system. So let's try that. Okay. And apparently it worked. So it's going to drop into a shell, do who am I, bam. Okay. Now it wants us to do the PS command to show the processes and all that. So let's go ahead and background this here. And let's go ahead and launch PS. It wants us to migrate into a process at the bottom here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and try, I guess, SVC host. So we're going to do migrate, and that session or process ID, see if it works. And apparently it worked. Awesome. So let's go ahead and go to task 4 here, cracking. Within our elevated interpreter shell, run the command hash dump. This will dump all the passwords on the machine as long as we have the correct privileges to do so. What is the name of the non-default user? So let's go ahead and try that out. So we're going to type in hash dump here. And there we go. Got administrator, guest, and John is the outlier here. So that's going to be the answer to that one. And it says copy this password hash to a file and research how to crack it. What is the cracked password? So let's go ahead and do that. Back to the cracking of the password hash. You can do that with a couple different things here. I'm going to show it in John and then also in Hashcat. John Ripper is a well-known password cracking tool. In order to use that, you're going to use John, and then you're going to use the name of the file where you have the hashes in, and then you're going to select the correct format. Since these are NTLM hashes, you're going to use NT for that, and then the word list. You're going to select the location of the word list. We're going to use this rocku.txt file. Make sure to use the correct word list. Sometimes there may not be a password in whatever word list you selected, so you may need to try a couple different word lists. But we're going to use rocku, and went ahead and ran it, and it recovered the password relatively quickly. There's the password, and then there's the user account, and that's going to be the answer to that. And then in Hashcat, I ran it as well. Let's see, let's scroll back up a little bit here. Let's see what I did. Right, Hashcat, and then you're going to select the mode is going to be 1000. And in order to get this, you're going to have to go to their website and find the correct mode for whatever password hash you're trying to crack, or yeah, trying to crack. -A and then 0. And then John underscore hashcat.txt is the name of the file with the hashes in it, and then the word list. Went through and it cracked this relatively quickly. And let's see here. Going through, look at some information here. Okay. It says, yeah, recovered 100. Okay. And if you go back up a little bit, and that's going to be the hash, and then there is the password for it. Okay, task number 5. Find the 3 flags planted on this machine. These are not traditional flags, rather they're meant to represent key locations within Windows system. Use hints provided below to complete this room. Okay, flag 1, flag found at the root. And let's go back into our interpreter session here. And let's see, I believe there's an easy way to find these, but let's go through the motions and see what we can do here. Right, now let's find these flags. Flag number 1. This flag can be found in the system root, and of course the system root of a Windows box is going to be in that C directory. And I've already went back to my interpreter session here, print working directory, see where I'm at, and I need to navigate back to this right here, C. And that's exactly what I did, print working directory, check, see where I'm at, and then I used an ls to list everything in here. Scroll down a bit, and there is my flag right there. And then I used cat in order to display the contents of that file, and that's going to be the answer to that. And it says flag number 2. This flag can be found at the location where passwords are stored within Windows. Now you might need to do some research and figure out where that's going to be. And once you've done that, come back to the video. All right, let's go ahead and navigate to that area. So we're going to go ahead and CD into I believe it's going to be in flag number 2. That's going to be located in the C Windows System 32 config, and you have it there at the bottom right there. So let's go ahead and cat that flag2.txt, see what's in there, and there's the answer. Then flag number 3, it says this flag can be found in an excellent location to loot. After all, administrators usually have pretty interesting things saved. So let's go ahead and see what we can find. Now when it says interesting things saved, so the next believe it's probably going to be in one of those standard directories, maybe documents, downloads, or something like that. So let's go ahead and check those and see if we can find that last flag. Here's the flag number 3 location and the contents of it. It is going to be located in the C users John documents, and then there's the contents of that file right there, and that's going to be the answer to the last question there. There's a bit of a shortcut way to find these flags. In interpreter, you just use the search command -F for file and then flag asterisk. And see, it said it found 6 results here, and there's flag 1, there's flag 3, and flag 2. And it gives you locations, so you can go ahead and navigate there and find those flags. This comes in handy as well when it comes to CTFs and actual pen tests. Let's say you're looking for a particular file name, format, or something, or a pattern like that. So you can use search to try to find similar file names and such. Maybe that can be some possible loot that you can use to your advantage, etc., etc. All right, if y'all enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the comment section on your thoughts and opinions on the information shared, etc., etc. Helps out the channel, helps get the good word out there. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.